Hey everybody, this is Kenny. Welcome back to another edition of the Yak with Mac. My T-Mobile road ends here, and here are some final thoughts of it and advice from my years as a district manager. Listen in. Hey there, everybody. This is Kenny. Welcome back to another edition of the Yak with Mac. And on the T-Mobile platform, this will be my last one as my road ends here. This is my last week with the company. It has been a joy. It has been a pleasure. Almost 25 years. And I want to continue down the road of giving some advice on my 25-year journey and tell you a little bit about some of the next steps for me as I'm not going away. I'm just leaving T-Mobile, but I have to tell you, this has been the honor of my life to be here and the honor of my life to really be able to do these podcasts and share with you these wonderful guests that I've had and share with you some of my advice and some of my journey. And hopefully you've taken some lessons from that. And so today this is my third part, and this will be my last one on this platform. And I'll talk about at the end where you can still get my podcast, because not only do I do this, I also do a couple other ones that I'd love for you to watch and listen to. Actually, I not watch, it'll just be listening, unless I have a guest. And so I want to start with my district manager days, but I want to take a step back for a second, because there were two things about this that was a big part of my journey. And one was in 2008 when I got the opportunity to go back to being a trainer every day. Just tired of traveling. I wanted to be off the road. And remember, I said my hero, Sharon O'Brien, hired me more than once. Well, this was the second time. She brought me back as a trainer, and I just loved it. But very early on during that time in 2008, I knew something wasn't right, and I got very, very sick. And I was diagnosed with advanced stage colorectal cancer. And the reason why this is part of my journey is because my whole world stopped. And my goal for the next 3 years, which is how long I battled cancer, was to live, was to beat this. And it's hard for me to put into words the people that bandied together at the time from Sprint and rallied around me. I after about 2 months, there were rumors out there, and I let everyone know what was going on with me. And the calls, the emails, the text messages, the things in the mail that I got, it was just unbelievable. And I was back to work after about 3 months, and then, out again for another 3 months, back after another 3 months. Finally, in 2011, I was declared cancer free. And so around that time, I wanted to, as I got really good at being a trainer again, I started to get an itch to move into the district manager role. So I'm going to jump into that in a second, but here's the second part of that fueled me. So getting healthy really fueled me. But number two was I had applied for the district manager role at that time 6 times, and I didn't get it. So that caused me to have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. And so the seventh time I got it. I was healthy. I got it, but when I got it, man, I was like, I'm gonna kill this, because I want to prove everybody wrong. Everybody who turned me down, for some were really good reasons, but some were like, really? Uh, so, but it was okay. As I gotten those lessons from all the people that I spoke to over these last couple of years, I kind of reacted the same way. I stayed angry, disappointed, whatever, for all of maybe 5 minutes. And then I went back to work. And then I went back to the business of finding out, what do I need to do next time? And that was important to me. And finally, when I got it, I dove right in. And so I also want to say that out of the jobs I had over these last 25 years or so, that was the hardest. It was no doubt. It was a lot to juggle. There was a lot of pressure every day, pressure to deliver. There were a lot of human resource things that you had to do. I've shared this before. I wasn't good at the Excel sheets and really pulling apart numbers. I got good at it. It took me a while. But there's probably a lot of lessons I can go into, but I'm going to go into just three that I picked up that I think will help you going forward. Lesson number one was I never, ever, ever stopped coaching someone. Even if I knew that they may not be here this next month, or they may not be here in the next few months, or even if somebody that, had given their 2 week notice and they were still working for me, I always, always coached. And coaching becomes such a habit because in the DM role, this is why I credit my training days, because in the DM role, you probably would be more inclined to tell folks exactly what to do. And because I'd been training coaching for years and I had practiced it, it became natural to me to be able to ask questions and coach people and encourage them and build them up. So never stop coaching, never stop teaching, and never stop learning. So when it came to teaching, I cannot tell you how many early morning workshops I did. It that was just, if I felt like a store or my district was lacking in something, I was going to go and teach them again and again and again. TEP, total equipment protection, was one that we had so many ups and downs on, mostly downs, but I never stopped teaching that. I never stopped going in and role playing and having workshops, bringing people informally to different places, or going in a store early in the morning. There was a time where I would say for about a year and a half, maybe 2 straight years, Donnie Ferdinand and myself, we did 7 a.m. leadership workshops, and we just made it voluntary. We said, whoever wants to come in and get more development, come on in. And we just picked topics, and we would go for about 2 hours, and by 9 o'clock they could go work in their store. And it was great. But you can't, as a DM, just go into the mode of being like the police and just policing everybody. You've got to still be able to coach. You've still got to be able to teach. Here's the other part of that. You still have to be able to learn yourself and learn stuff every day. I think one of the pitfalls of the company back then was that there was really no academies for DMs, not for a long time, and so there was really no specific development for folks that were in our role, and we probably played the most important role in the company, or at least in the retail channel. We were the ones that were in the stores every single day, and we did the hiring, we promoted store managers, and so our role was so important, but there was really no development for us. So I always looked for outside development. I You guys know this. I went and took some courses through John Maxwell. I'd always read articles, things like that. I always knew that I had to develop myself if I was going to go out and continue to coach people and teach people. So I think that's so important, guys, in leadership. Don't let your learning go. Don't let your learning stop. And we're at a different place in the company now. There is so many different opportunities for you to learn and for you to grow. And so that's my number one. Number two, I got really good at this, guys. I knew every single person in my district, from obviously the store managers, or assistant store managers is what we called them back then. But every single mobile consultant, every single technical consultant, I made an effort to get to know everybody, and a little piece of every of their personal life. So I could walk in a store and say, hey, listen, how's your mom doing? Didn't she have surgery last week? Last time I was here, you mentioned that to me. It was so important to build those type of relationships. And it would probably take me a good 15, 20, 30 minutes sometimes before I actually greeted the store manager, because I would go and I'd speak to everybody else, and then I would get to the store manager and the business that I had at hand. But I always made it a point to speak to everybody and get to know everyone at their level. So that is probably is going to sum up this second piece of advice. Get to know people at their level. Meet them where they're at, not where you're at. Because we know, as a DM, you run in different circles, right? You speak to directors, you speak to VPs. So what? Nobody cares about that in the store. They want you to meet them there at their level and hear what it is that they're going through. And again, I'm talking store because that's the world I came through, but I know that there's a lot of you that work in a lot of different departments that will be watching this, And, whether it's care, whatever, same principles apply. Get to know everyone. Yeah, they report directly to the store manager, but you want to have that bridge. And here's the other thing, and this unfortunately came up at times. If there was something going on in the store and the store manager might not even known it or didn't want to tell me for whatever reason, one of those mobile consultants would come and say, Kenny, were you aware of this? No, I wasn't, So but it was great to get to know everybody, and you've got to be able to do that and just get to know people where they're at, not where you're at. All right, my last piece of advice for now is cast a big vision, man. I tell you what, I always dreamed big and I was always innovative. I always wanted to do things differently. And I gotta say, I probably drove a lot of my team crazy. Like, this nut is changing again. He's transferring somebody already. Why can we go a month without making moves? I remember several of my managers used to tell me that. But I always wanted us to have an edge and to always be thinking big. And so I never really would give my team quotas beyond what the quota was, right? I wouldn't say, hey, if your quota is 100, let's hit 200. But I would say, hey, what if we tried this? What if we set up tables outside? What if we did this event? What if we did that? How could we possibly pull that off? Well, let's sit down and talk about it, and then we'd sit down and talk about it. We come up with a plan, and next thing you knew, we were, doing a church event and selling 20 tablets, outside of a church. And so I think it's so important that you dream big in any role that you're at. You dream big and you just don't settle to just do the job. We can all just do the minimum expectations and probably get by for a long time. I never wanted to do that. I always wanted us to really, really stand out. And listen, we failed forward a lot. I talked about that a few podcasts ago. We succeeded a heck of a lot more than we failed, though, because we tried different things. And eventually, I had a lot of my store managers that would bring ideas to me instead of me bringing it to them, saying, "Hey, I'd like to do this. All right, let's talk about it. Let's see if this is going to cost us money or whatever." So never stop coaching, never stop teaching, never stop learning. Get to know everybody, make an effort to get to know everybody, meet people where they're at, not where you're at, and then cast a big vision and dream big, try different things. It will pay off for you. All right. I'm now going to take just the next couple of minutes to just give some gratitude here and some love. And again, I am feeling great about what my next steps are. Let me talk about that real quick first. So the Yak with Mac, I'm going to continue to do these weekly. They'll be out either Mondays or Tuesdays. Subscribe to my channel. It's Faith From Above at gmail.com. It's actually Faith From Above. If you type that into YouTube, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, but you probably want to subscribe to my podcast on Spreaker. And so, but these podcasts will be across all platforms: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Podcaster, a bunch of different Castbox. It'll be wherever you get podcasts today. You'll be able to find the Yak with Mac. You'll also be able to find Pause for a Minute. As I've told some of you, I'm also a pastor, now a full-time pastor. And so I do love to talk about faith. And so you'll find that in my Pause for a Minute podcast, starting to do interviews on those. And then I do talk sports, and we combine some faith together with my son, Kenny. And sometimes I'll get some guests on for that. And that is called Sports on the Positive Tip. So when you subscribe, you'll see those 3 podcasts. Please check me out. Continue to check me out. And I want to continue to inspire you. All right, let me do a little bit of thanks, folks. So anyone that's left from my old district, Team Mac, man, we made some history, didn't we? And I know Sarap, you're out there, and Sarap is the store manager in Bayshore, Long Island, and you probably know her because she shows up in a lot of videos. One of the best store managers ever. Thanks for having that influence on my career very early on. You and I have known each other for almost my full 25 years or so with the company. Thank you for all you did. Barack, man, you are just a special dude. Barack took my place as a DM, and that was very much on purpose. And he's done a tremendous job out here on Long Island, much better job than I did. And so I don't know who else is left, Barack, so you're going to have to pass this on. all love to everyone that was part of Team Mac. My Trailblazers training team. So Mendy, Sharon, Gabe, Nelson, Marvin, Matt. I hope I'm not leaving anybody out. I don't think I am. That is still with the company. We made history there too, didn't we? Just a great job in the Northeast and in Puerto Rico. Wasn't that cool to have Puerto Rico in our district for a while? This is when I went back to be a training manager back in 2018. So guys, thank you so much. I can't say enough great things about my Virtuoso training team after merger. You guys made history as well, becoming the first full-fledged, full-time virtual team for Metro. And boy, we have done some great things with Metro. That team is going to continue to do it. They're all intact still with a new terrific leader. So thank you guys for all you did. It wasn't easy being virtual every day. You guys were all field trainers. Then all of a sudden we were virtual, but you guys just rocked it out every single day. Again, more history made, right? And more setting some precedent. JC, thanks, man. Thank you for being just a terrific, supportive leader and really indoctrinating me into the T-Mobile world and taking me, under your wing and showing me all the things that you showed me. So thank you so much for all that you did. Colin and Barb, oh my gosh, without both you guys, I wouldn't have been able to do this podcast. So thank you guys so much. Colin, you and I have known each other forever. Thanks for believing in me and for continuing to sell this podcast. I hope I made you look good, buddy. But it was just a joy and an honor to do these. I want to take a moment, and I don't have the time to thank every guest. I look back and I had so many guests on this podcast, but I just want to thank Liz Tarabuca first. Oh man, you were my first guest. You stepped up. You said, I don't know what this is about, but okay, I'll come on. I didn't know what I was doing, but we had a great conversation about leadership. And so thank you so much for that, Liz. Patrick, I think you were up next, and you came on a few times. You were so funny and so much fun, and just your humor, but your knowledge really inspires people. Thank you so much for that. Marvin Sanchez, I think you and I had 3 podcasts together. You and I obviously are going to stay in touch. So, but thank you so much, man, for taking the time to come on and for getting me some really great guests. Gordy, what a guy you are, man. Thank you so much for your communication skills. You taught me a lot, and you taught so many people a lot. And thank you also for inviting me to that event last summer that was so great around Juneteenth. Thanks for really listening to my opinion on it and wanting to hear what I had to say. That's fantastic. Amanda Moss, oh my gosh, I wish I had known you years ago. What a great coach you are and how inspiring you are. And you're in the perfect position because leaders need you. They need to be inspired by you. And I just want to call out some of the VPs who really took time out of their day to come on. They didn't know who I was, to come on a pre-call and chat with me for a bit, and then take another half hour sometimes out of their day to just come on with me and inspire people about leadership. So Alita, Dan, Denise, Terrence Glover, thank you so much, man. Katie Chamberlain, Ron K, and Holly Martinez. Wow. You guys were so inspiring, and those were some of my highest viewed and listened to podcasts. And I'm so grateful for you guys taking the time to do that. So many other people in between. I'm so sorry if I don't say your name, but Irma, Jennifer, man, I just, there's so many that just Peter Gay, Christine, you guys were just so inspiring throughout these couple of years. I was able to do it and be able to inspire leaders. So I hope I've just done a little bit, guys, and just a little bit, my part, to inspire some other leaders in the company to do just some different things. Listen, I've grown into this role as podcaster now. A few years ago, I had no clue what I was doing. I just knew that I wanted to talk and I wanted to inspire more people. And it's kind of taken off. And that's a beautiful thing. Right now, I've got, the most listens I've ever had, this past summer. And that's because I took a chance on myself. So I want to end with that. Take a chance on yourself. You wouldn't be sitting here watching this if you weren't already successful. Take a chance on you. Take chances in your career. Go back and listen to some of them, watch some of the podcasts that I did over these 2 years. Not all of them are out on the Learning Podcast site because it just can't hold them all. But there's a lot that are still out there. Listen to the advice of these just phenomenal, proven leaders that will tell you so much better than I can tell you. So, leaders, this will be my sign off at T-Mobile. Hopefully, it's not the last that you're listening to me. Hopefully, you'll go ahead and listen to me on the other platforms that I'll be on. I've loved every second of my time with both companies. I love you all, and thank you so much for making my life and my career so much richer by being able to come to you. K-Mac out.